Well, oh, thanks for that. Cheers. Perfect timing. Professionalism. The professionalism in this podcast. Would you like to burp? You burped about 20 seconds before before I'd unmuted. Surprised you didn't wait. Yeah. Oh, you don't worry. You'll be farting, burping. You wearing trousers today?
Yeah, I've got pajamas on.
Oh, that's a surprise. Welcome, everybody. It's the 15th of September, 2022, and this is Swapping Joysticks. I'm your host, or one of your hosts, Biggest Bennis, aka Ben Ostwick. And I'm joined, as always, by the one, the only. Well, you can introduce yourself. Who are you?
Ed Knights.
Yeah. Woo! But we are back. We did take a 1 week break after, unfortunately, last week, 30 minutes before, even less than 30 minutes before the podcast was due to be recorded, the Queen, Her Majesty, the Queen Elizabeth II, very rudely decided to die. So we had to cancel it because, well, as a person who studied politics, I wanted to be watching, the TV and seeing everything that was going on, being a big old nerd that I was. And Ed was inconsolable. Bless him, he could not stop crying.
I really wasn't. I was intrigued by history, but that's all.
Yeah, I'm kind of a bit bored of it all now.
The queues in London are ridiculous. I was on the train earlier and saw the people queuing all the way along the river, and just wild.
It's quite a few kilometers. It pretty much halfway across London, that queue. And I walk past it every single day on the way to work, and I'm like, oh, kind of, I look at that queue and think, oh, I'd quite like to get in that queue. I bet it'd be fun.
Really?
Yeah. Doesn't the Britishness come out and just go, oh, I want a queue?
No.
No?
I hate queuing. I don't want to stand in a queue.
What? I thought you were really British. You love your tea, corgis. You're very British. Stiff upper lip. You don't show any emotion. You are...
I don't know about that.
Wow. Not in a movie. Do you ever cried in a movie?
Yeah.
Oh, apart from...
Watched me cry in a movie.
That's true, yeah. But it was because he hated it so much. It was so bad.
Hot men died, so I cried.
Wow. Well, that's... I wanted to make a joke, but I'm definitely not making that joke. So, yeah, it was... what was it again? Oh, I can't tell, actually. We weren't going to say, because you might not have seen it, and it's a spoiler. But, yeah. That's the last time we watched The Minions. But anyway... this is
those hot minions. No,
I mean, they are the perfect shape, and you've seen those pictures.
I know. I've just been reminded of those pictures. I don't want to think about that.
If anybody wants a fun night, go and type in dirty minion pictures in Google. Turn that safe search off, and you're in for a treat. There's a 5-mile queue to view Queen Elizabeth II. I think they should just drive her past everyone in the queue so they get to see it. And bring Elizabeth to the queue.
Well, I saw someone, obviously joking, saying that why isn't she doing like five days at Wembley? Like, you could just fill Wembley Stadium and she could just be in the middle.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And everyone could just collectively mourn her and then leave. And then the next batch can come in.
Yeah. Like Michael Jackson. Oh, wait, no, he didn't either. No, he didn't last that long either. We should use Wembley as that, yeah. Put people who've passed away in there so we can go and mourn them.
Anyway.
Yeah. So that's on
podcast.
That funeral's on Monday. Oh, and
I'm looking forward to a nice long weekend of some gaming.
Yeah, exactly. It's what she would have wanted. No, I mean, it's going on a little bit, but I'm also like, oh god, next summer, or even maybe the summer after, it'll probably be next summer, there's going to be a coronation as well. And I just think, is it ageist to say, like, there's not really much point in having a really fancy coronation for somebody who's in their mid-70s?
Maybe a bit, but understandably. Also, I don't think he's going to be very popular, so I don't think it's worth it.
Did you see the pen?
Oh, when he moved it.
Oh no, there was
or
another
the
one.
when he was like, "Oh, I've got ink everywhere."
Yeah, I felt a bit so. I saw that and I was like, he's obviously not had any time whatsoever to grieve, and he's kind of having a bit of a breakdown. So that was at one point I thought, oh, I feel a bit sad for him, but then I also think, yeah, I do not care.
I mean, if your mum dies, you kind of everyone deserves a moment for that. I'll say that much.
I read today that he had 0 engagements, and he's a day of reflection, they called it.
Good.
Yeah. But yeah, there you go. That is our 5 minutes on the Queen. Now let's talk about Elden Ring. No, actually,
what?
Did you see all the memes about because it's the really old-fashioned kind of processions and people carrying giant swords and staffs and stuff, and it was like, here's the 4th Elden Ring boss.
Yeah, I fought them in Elden Ring.
Yeah. But yeah, well, before we go on to Elden Ring,
we're not talking about Elden Ring today.
No. Has the DLC been announced yet?
No, and I've had enough of that game for a year.
You know what? When I move, I'm really tempted to just pick that back up a bit. That might be like one of my games I go to.
I think you should, and I will be around to give you some
tips. No. Okay, no, I'm not going to play it. Because it's not that I don't want tips from you, but I do not want. I just. Oh God, yeah. Don't know why I said it like that. Nothing more. I don't want to put you through watching me playing Elden Ring.
I mean, yes, then I will be in a coffin.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He dead. Queen Elizabeth II. She dead.
I mean, yeah, we could just let go up. That is true.
Yeah.
We're gonna have two PlayStations, 2 TVs.
Oh, the other PlayStation's in the other room though, so that will probably be better if you're in a different room.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, there we go. But you have been, to completely, change subject, you've been out and about today because you said you saw, well, speaking of seeing the queue, going to see Elizabeth on the train, where were you going on that train? That segue. Beautiful.
I went out.
Ooh, how was that?
I had a day out. I actually left. I left the flat. I left this sweaty chair. And I went out, which is pretty wild.
And how was the outside?
Do you know what? It was cold.
It was quite cold today.
I'm so happy about that. Like, I actually felt a bit cold and shivery and thought, kind of wish I was wearing a jumper. I have not felt like that in months, and it's just the best feeling. Fuck off global warming. I want to feel cold, please.
Yeah. Quite a few students today were going like, "Oh, it's cold today." I was like, "Well, first I was like, no, it's not." But also, I wish that this is not cold.
Oh no, this isn't cold. It's just cold.
It was like 16 degrees.
Cold
air. 16 degrees is summer up north. Yeah,
very true.
You did live. Do you know how many steps I've done?
3.
11,000. Yeah, 11,000 steps today I've done.
Well, imagine how many you would have done had you been in the queue.
Probably not much because they weren't moving really.
Exactly. About 3.
Yeah. Oh, but where did you go out and about? So
I went to a very special event held by Square Enix called Square Enix Plays. Basically, this week is TGS, Tokyo Game Show, but no one's allowed in Japan. So rather than going to Tokyo, Square Enix brought Tokyo to London, which was nice. So yeah, it was a venue in London that they decked out to make it look all very kind of Japanesey. There were fake cherry blossom trees everywhere. There was
because that's spring, and it's not spring.
Yes. There was Japanese food. They were playing loads of video game music, and they had loads of different stands to play lots of upcoming Square Enix games, which I got to play, which was very, very fun.
And you are writing about one. You can say one that you're gonna. Well, what would you like to advertise? One of them that you're going to be writing about on Eurogamer tomorrow.
Well, I'm going to be writing a couple of them. So the main sort of reason I wanted to go in the biggest game there, I think, was the remaster of Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII, which I'm going to be writing some impressions up tomorrow. Most of the other games that were there actually have a demo that anyone can go download and play. But Crisis Core doesn't, so it was sort of a bit of a one-off to play it, which is great. So yeah, I won't talk too much now about that, but as someone who didn't play the PSP original because I didn't have a PSP, but I love Final Fantasy VII, love all the games. I've never got to play this before, so it was great to finally actually be able to play this game. I will say, I mean, I don't therefore know what a lot of the changes to it are with the remaster, but one change that's very obvious is that they've completely changed all the fonts and all the menus, so it's exactly the same as Final Fantasy VII Remake and the new Remake trilogy. So they are very much making it consistent with that. So it definitely feels like it's a spin-off of a remake, even though it's actually an old game from like 10 years ago or however long. So yeah, that's a nice thing about it.
Can I ask one question? You can feel free to say, read my article tomorrow about it.
Okay.
Does it feel similar in quality to 7 Remake?
No.
Okay. That's what I was thinking.
It's somewhere in between. They have given it a boost, and brought it in line with the newer games, but it still feels like an older game remastered.
Okay.
I'll say
it's a bit like Stranger Paradise level.
No, because that was brand new.
Yeah, but it was pretty,
How dare you?
Mediocre. I saw you attempt to play that. Did you ever finish it? Oh, you did actually, didn't you?
Yes, I did finish it. Thank you very much.
Did you enjoy it?
I had a great time until the final bit, which was shit, and I put it on easy.
There are so many games you hate the final levels on.
I have a really bad attention span, and I get really bored by the end.
But your attention span seems to stop like during the last dungeon or the last part of it.
Because that's when they're like, oh, that's when bad game design kicks in of what can we do to make this arbitrarily difficult just to piss people off. And then I'm like, no, I'm annoyed now.
Didn't the original Ni no Kuni do that? I heard a lot of people kind of ditched it before the final dungeon.
Oh, I ditched it long before that.
Yeah,
I really
did
liked
as well.
it. I just didn't have time to play it because it was just in depth.
Oh, sorry. Just say Captis is furious that we called Stranger Paradise mediocre. I mean,
it's kind of mediocre. It's a really solid 7 out of 10 game.
Which means shit. We know that. 7 out of 10 means
it's shit. It means that if you're a fan of Final Fantasy, it's worth playing. You're just not a big enough fan, Ben. That's your.
I am. I love it. I bought a CD, the Japanese version of the Final Fantasy X CD soundtrack. I am the biggest fan.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Maynon asks, will Final Fantasy VII Remake ever get an Xbox release, do you think? Absolutely not.
Okay, why not?
No way. Because, I mean, there are some spin-off games that they're putting on Xbox. So, for instance, Crisis Core is going to be on Xbox. But in general, these games and Square Enix overall really is so heavily tied to Sony these days and PlayStation. I just don't think that they would ever go to Xbox. It's like there's been talk of an Xbox version of 14 for a very long time, and I just don't think that's ever going to happen.
I know. I really wish they. I want a Final Fantasy 14 Switch version.
No,
that'd be the best. The thing is,
so you can play it on 4G when you're out on the go.
Well, no, it would have to obviously be that. But I could even see them doing I was thinking this earlier. The fact that you could probably play Final Fantasy 14 offline once they've made it so that the trust system is in like all dungeons. You could.
But it's an MMO. What's the point in that?
Maybe you're on the go playing on Switch. Maybe you just don't. You want to play an MMO, but you just don't want to play with people.
Or maybe you should sit at home and play it on a PC like a proper nerd.
How's that going for you?
Really well.
When was the last time you played? Are you playing the Square Enix tax? It's like a charity.
Oh,
Every month I give them a nice £11 and expect nothing back because I don't play it at the moment.
look, Sunday nights is my 14 night where I am determined to play it every Sunday night. I just didn't do that last week, but that's because I was playing something else, which we'll talk about. Anyway, so I played Crisis Core. Um, the other one that I'm going to write about tomorrow is Valkyrie Elysium, which I had incredibly low expectations for because I knew nothing about it really. Um, it was announced, I think it was the PlayStation State of Play in like March, maybe. And I think the Valkyrie series is like a sort of quite old series. I'm presuming turn-based RPGs. This game is an action RPG. It's essentially anime Norse mythology, hence Valkyrie. Um, and you are playing as a Valkyrie who's been created by Odin to stop Ragnarok from happening, because of course, but all in sort of anime style. Literally, I think when it was announced, people thought, "What the fuck is this?" And I had very low expectations of it, but thought, you know what, I'll give it a go. And this demo today was well over an hour, and I really enjoyed it, and I didn't think I would at all. So I'm going to be writing that up tomorrow as well. So please tomorrow go to Eurogamer and read up those two.
It is part of the Valkyrie profile Valkyrie profile series.
That's the one.
Originally out on the PlayStation. It's also on iOS and Android. Then there's Valkyrie Profile 2. Then Valkyrie Profile Covenant of the Plume. And then most recently Valkyrie Anatomia, which was an Android and iOS exclusive that was released in 2019, and then they stopped it a year later.
Great.
So it's not really, and maybe the first 3 games, with a little bit of cult classics, but yeah, this one looks interesting.
Yeah.
Again, not on. It's not coming to Xbox.
No.
But everything else.
Yeah. Well, PlayStation and PC.
Why is Valkyrie? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing.
I mean, let me check my. Oh, fuck's sake! There we go.
They've never released anything on Xbox.
I've got my lanyard.
They've released stuff on DS, iOS, Android, PSP. Nothing on Xbox.
Yeah, it's PS4, PS5, and PC, and it's coming out on the 29th of September, so it's not long.
Oh,
not long to wait.
They haven't updated their Valkyrie profile Wikipedia. I could update it with that release date. Do you know? I'm not going to because I can't be bothered.
If you really want to.
Yeah.
Yes, the lanyard of knowledge. So yes, I played some of that. I'm going to write about that tomorrow, but it's a 7 out of 10. Like, it's anime Norse mythology story that's a bit, but actually the battle system is really fun and really fluid, and I just really enjoy playing it.
7 out of 10. Capt is gonna love it.
There you go. But they had loads of other games there as well. I played a little bit of Harvestella, which there is also a demo out on the eShop you can play now on Switch. Interestingly, you choose your gender at the start, and it includes a non-binary option, which is excellent. We love to see that. However, the demo that I had access to today is exactly the same as the one that's on the eShop, except for I had a 20-minute timer. So basically, it was the start of it. There was 20 minutes of story, and then it was like, "Thanks for playing," and I was like, "Cool." So I'm probably not going to write anything about that because I didn't really play any of it. But I actually think Harvestella looks quite cool. It looks nice on the screen, and yes, there was 20 minutes of story, but I like that this is a farming game with story in it. That is very, I was going to say Final Fantasy. More than anything, actually, it gave me sort of Bravely Default vibes, in that I feel like it's the sort of second tier Square Enix fantasy game, but they've put loads of farming in it. And I don't say that as a bad thing. I just mean as in, it's not AAA Final Fantasy, but it's like just a really good solid RPG. That's the impression I get from 20 minutes of story without actually doing any farming. But there was that. I also played a bit of Star Ocean: The Divine Force, which is a JRPG.
Oh,
It looks and plays like a JRPG.
yeah.
um, I again didn't have super high expectations for it. The Star Ocean games have been around for a long time. They sort of mix fantasy and sci-fi together with an anime style. And it sort of felt to me like this one, I think, is the first one in a few years. And it felt to me like this is doing for Star Ocean what Tales of Arise did for the Tales series, in that it's just kind of updating things for a new console and just doing a solid job of being a JRPG. Um, it's a bit cliched. There's lots of anime boobs,
Yeah, I
lots
can
of
just see. I'm just looking
lots
at
of
screenshots.
lots of tropey characters and a battle system that's sort of all right. It's a bit actiony. You have like stamina that you use for your different moves, and you level up your moves, and the combat's quite fun. But it just seemed sort of open worldy. You've got 3 characters you can play as. It really reminded me of Tales of Arise. And again,
Mm.
it's a solid 7 out of 10 JRPG, kind of what you expect.
Yeah, it looks quite generic.
Yeah.
Is it ugly?
No, like it was. I mean, it's not like super next gen PS5, um, but like it looks nice enough. I quite like the style. I quite like the art style.
I've just put a picture in the chat? Is that generally what it looks like?
In cutscenes, yeah,
Oh, yeah, I'll pass.
it's kind of realistic graphics of anime proportions.
With Tina Turner hair.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I see. I agree with Gemma here. Sometimes that kind of predictable but solid game is good, but never great. But sometimes it's nice to just play the same game again. Exactly. This is like really familiar JRPG territory. I literally I didn't write any notes on it because I'm like, it's just what you expect it to be. It's perfectly enjoyable. Could I spend 100 hours in it? Probably. Actually, no. I'd probably spend 90 and get bored by the end, as is typical of me.
Yeah.
But it's a fun little JRPG. There you
But
go.
then like for the second, well, after 30 hours you'll spend 60 hours saying how you don't actually enjoy it, but you're still
Yeah.
playing it.
Exactly.
And then quit just before the end.
Yeah. I played a little bit of Dragon Quest Treasures, which is a
Ooh.
Switch Dragon Quest game. It's like an
Hmm.
action RPG. Again, 20-minute timer. So I didn't get very far into it. It was very twee and childish and
Oh.
quite annoying. So not for me.
I want it.
You want it,
Yeah.
do not. You will not enjoy it.
Okay.
I promise you. I promise you. In terms of other games, there was also Power Wash Simulator, which we've all played. So I didn't bother playing it, but that was there.
But did you play it on the Switch? Because it's coming out on the Switch.
It is, but that was only announced today.
Yes.
I actually didn't look at what it was on, but according to this, it was available on PC and Xbox. So let's go with that. There was also Romancing Saga Minstrel Song, which I completely walked past and didn't even notice. So there that was. Nier Automata on Switch. There was lots of Nier stuff. But I've played it. I was like, I'm sure it runs nicely on the Switch, whatever. And then they also had Life is Strange Arcadia Bay Collection, which is already out, but is coming to Switch later this month. And again, an event like this is not where you want to sit and play Life is Strange.
No. Life is
Similarly-
Strange is a great toilet game if you've got it on Switch.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Just throw it down the toilet and flush it.
Wow. Not a fan?
I really like True Colors. I just wasn't a fan of the first one.
What about Tell Me Why?
That had lovely representation and a terrible story.
Yeah, the ending was. I actually have blocked that out of my memory. I remember being like, "Oh, I actually like that game," and then, yeah, no, I just remembered the ending. I also picked the ending that apparently everybody hated, so I ruined it for myself as well.
I think I did that as well, and I was really dissatisfied with it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you're not meant to pick that one. I'm like, well, why is it a fucking option then?
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna live in denial to make myself feel better." Sure. Yeah.
Great. And then the last game that was there that I also didn't play, but I have reasons for that, is the Direfield Chronicle.
Ooh.
So this is a new sort of tactical strategy RPG but real time rather than turn based. That is
Yeah.
coming to PlayStation consoles, Xbox, PC, and Switch.
Yeah, why didn't you play
Um,
this?
it's essentially kind of Fire Emblem-y,
Mm.
but real time. I didn't play it because a bit like Life is Strange. And actually like a lot of these games, it's not the kind of game that you want to be sat at a convention with headphones playing. Like you want to really get sucked into that and play it at home. And there is a
Oh,
demo for this that
there
is
is.
already available, which is on all those consoles. So I'm quite tempted to actually download the demo and sit and play it at home rather than playing it there. So I'm quite tempted to play it. Also, it's out on the 22nd of September, although this says 22th, so they've got that wrong. But 22nd, not 22nd of September.
So one of my
So
students.
it's out very soon. So I'm tempted to just play the demo of that at home. So that was also there. So yeah, and then there was a Japanese food stand. I had some nice bao buns and some like sushi wrap things and some prawn tempura. There was some merch on some tables.
Wait, wasn't the
I
merch on the tables that you couldn't buy or something?
Yeah, it was just to show off like examples, so you couldn't buy any of the merch. I really, really wanted to steal the Red 13 and Kate Sith plushies, but I wasn't allowed to because there was someone there.
They know what you were.
But they were, for people on stream, they were incredibly cute,
Yeah.
and I really wanted to steal them.
I do kind of want to play Final
Um,
Fantasy 7 Remake again. Always want to play that.
and for Yuffie, they had a Yuffie statue.
Hmm. And how much did they tell you how much they're going to sell for?
No, nothing had a price on it. There
No.
was also a Tifa one with some very awkward looking knees.
Oh, she's been on her knees.
Yeah. And oh, this was all of them. There was a Zack one as well.
Is there a Biggs one? Because I would like a Biggs one for reasons.
No.
Oh.
A
A life-size
there is
big one.
a 1,000-piece Final Fantasy jigsaw puzzle
I am,
of Cloud on a motorbike.
which I vetoed.
I'd love to have that.
The thing is, for as long as I've known Ed, he has had a Battersea Dogs and Cats Home jigsaw on his table, unfinished, slightly
Right.
patchy. Literally, as long as I have, visited you, you've had.
And it's not mine, it's my housemate's. I did most of it, which was about a third of it being very patchy. He did not touch it for months. It covered dust, and eventually I had a massive clean and I put it all away in a box and it hasn't been touched. And that was about 3 months ago.
Okay, well, we're not having no jigsaws until we're retired.
Okay, fine. There was lots of Nia merch, like a vinyl and other bits and pieces. A lovely statue.
Speaking of Biggs, who did we find out? We found Biggs was the voice of somebody. Who was Biggs the voice of?
Balthea in Final Fantasy 12, who's also the hot one. So the voice actor just, how's that going?
He's in so many. Yeah, that voice actor does so much in video games.
He does.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that they had there was a stand of Japanese snacks and sweets, and basically you were allowed to have three, and then they stamped your thing. So I've got three stamps on the bottom here to prove that I've had my three. And then they gave you some extra bits when you got them stamped, which were choices. So I have some random Japanese sweets.
Please show them, and I'll explain them to people that are listening on the podcast. I'll explain what they look like.
So I think most people know what Pocky is.
Poke, like a bowl.
Pocky, no Pocky. They're like biscuits. They're like the long, thin ones.
Oh,
and they had these in like loads of different flavors. So these are cookies and cream.
Cigar. They look like really long French cigars or cigarettes.
But they're very thin.
What are they called? What are those things that they're normally the ones that I've seen before like that? It's like Mikamo or something like that, or
yes. Well, there's different brands, I think. But yeah, they had these. So they had lots of different flavors. So I went with cookies and cream.
Of course. I hope you're not opening these.
No. You will wait until you're here so you can taste them.
Excellent. Maybe we should do a video we'll do a mukbang video for the YouTube channel.
We should totally do that. Because
Okay.
I want to know what these taste like, and I want you to know what they taste like.
So
as well.
subscribe to us on YouTube. This is where we'll put the video up this
There you go.
weekend. Something to do this weekend rather than just lying.
Mikado says mainline.
Yeah.
That's the brand that we tend to get in the UK. But yeah, you get Pocky as well. Then these are a brand called Astor. There were lots of these. And I went with the matcha flavored ones, but again, they had lots of different flavors.
Ooh.
These are creamy and intense green tea matched with a crumbly roll. That looks familiar.
Oh God, if it's that color, I'd wouldn't. Oh my God, that looks like my nose after when I had COVID. Oh God, that is. Oh, remember Flubber? Remember that was such a good movie.
Yes.
Flubber leaking out of a. What do they call those round? Yeah, those things that they're inside. That goo is inside. You have them at Christmas sometimes, or you have them. They stick them in ice cream sometimes. You know, like the wafer roll, the wafer tubes.
I mean, that's literally what this is.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what the really common one is called.
It's like a wafer thin,
Yeah,
a wafer round thing, and it's leaking.
Ugh. It's a wafer roll. I think you should call it a wafer roll.
I went with matcha flavored. They also had vanilla shake and chocolate. Oh, you mean like the chocolate cigar thing?
Yeah.
That's what you're talking
Chocolate
about. Okay.
cigars.
This is basically those, but they're going to be matcha flavor.
I found one that's got chocolate inside, which sounds better. Although I did have that matcha drink while I was waiting for you in Shoreditch, in the most hipster, like oven place. It was like a bakery under an arch with the doors closed, and they had all the open ovens in there, and I was just sweating like you've never seen a person sweat.
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's a place where you were getting your hair cut. And you were like, oh, go there. They do the best bakery things. And I went in.
Oh, the Swedish bakery?
Yeah, and like I lost about half my body weight in sweat sitting in there.
Okay, they do like the best cinnamon buns, but it's because it's a literal open bakery that you just go into. So everything's open. That's why it's hot.
It's also a sauna as well. But I had a really nice matcha drink there.
There you go. Now, this is all in Japanese, so I don't know the brand or really what these are, but they're basically, they had various like chewy sweets, and I went with the strawberry flavored ones. So I should do like proper YouTuber like this.
It's not lipstick. Nichu. Well, we should definitely. They look like. Are they frutellas?
I think so. There's somewhere there. Oh, wow. It kind of shows what they're going to look like.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll have to try that the weekend.
Yeah. So there's this. So they were my 3, and then when I got them stamped, they were like, "Oh, you can choose from these other ones."
Wow. God, I wish I'd gone.
So they had Kit Kats, and it was either green tea or dark chocolate. So I went with green tea.
Green tea Kit Kat?
Yep. Why would I want chocolate if I'm going and getting Japanese stuff?
I mean, that's true.
I want the weird flavors. Give me the green tea. So we've got that.
Okay.
And then we have this. Now, there were 2 flavors of this.
Is that Doraemon?
Maybe. Or similar to, anyway. There were 2 flavors. There was this one and the other one. The other one was described as spicy, but also I was told apparently tastes like Monster Munch, which I fucking hate. So I was like, no.
I love a Monster Munch.
This one was described as vegetable flavor.
They're not selling it, really, are they?
So I really want to know what I think it might be like a crisp. So I don't want to squish it.
Do you know what we should do? We should definitely do like a video trying those and have some plum sake with it.
Absolutely. We're doing a full mukbang. We're doing it. There's no English on this. So this could be absolutely anything. It's vegetable flavor.
It's a turkey Twizzler.
Yeah.
It's a wrapped up turkey Twizzler.
So then on the way out, I was given a goodie bag,
Ooh.
Which is one of these drawstring bags with Square Enix on it.
Oh my God, that's so cool. I want that.
So they're handed. You can have it.
No, I don't want it. I've just been nice.
And then they were like, what what t-shirt size, and I was like, oh, I get a t-shirt. Sadly, it's not a cool Final Fantasy one. It's just a t-shirt for the event. And Mr. Millhill was asking, so this is the Square Enix Plays event that I went to today.
Oh, that's really cool. I mean, you'd never wear that, I know, but that is really cool.
I mean, it's going to be a sleeping t-shirt.
Yeah. I like that.
It
says kick me on the back.
That like, yeah, you know that like new t-shirt smell when it's just come from a factory and been printed on?
Yeah. You can smell the sweat of
absolutely disgusting
7-year-olds.
Lovely. Did they have bigger sizes? Oh, they had multiple sizes. So, and then also in the bag was this last thing, which is
it's a real life Moogle.
It's a Nier Automata music box.
Oh, we've got
which
music
I haven't
boxes.
opened yet.
I've got a music box. Did I ever show you my music box?
Get your music box out for the lads.
I've got my Far Changing Tides, only number 39 of 100. So while you're opening that, do you want me to play you some Far Changing Tides?
Please.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, there's this. No. I was looking for that part. Here we go. This one.
I can't hear that at all, by the way.
Can other people hear it?
I think it's the noise gate. I think if you talk, we can hear it.
Maybe other people can, yeah. But this is the Far Changing Tides one, which is a game I actually need to play. I'm going to stream it at some point. They gave me the code. Oh, it sounds loud on stream. Okay. It's very, very loud. But yeah, I've got they gave me the code in a little, like, message in a bottle in there. Right. That's going to play in the middle of the night, isn't it? Just shit me up.
Yep. Okay, I've nearly got this open.
Haven't I seen that game? I think that game, somebody was playing Far Changing Tides.
Erinus has played it.
Yeah.
I remember watching it.
I've heard it's really good. In fact, I need to play it because I think that could be like top 10 of the year. I was actually listening to another game.
There's a little card.
Oh.
But I don't know what that means.
Can somebody say, you have now unlocked the curse of Square Enix. Your days are numbered. Wow.
Excellent. Oh my god, with more plastic.
Wow. Did a whole class today on not reusing plastics or reusing plastics.
Oh, so it's kind of like a solid block.
Oh. Now, what does it sound like? It's near. Is it the whole? What's it called? That song at the end when they play. Whatever it is.
I don't know if you're going to be able to hear this.
The weight of the world.
The mic. Right, ready?
Yep. We're ready.
Can you not hear it?
No, I think yours definitely is a noise gate. Ooh, I like this. I don't think you have to do that anymore, but it's amusing, so you should do it. Oh.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, Ed has to sing it to make it to make some more music. Sing to. Is it still going?
Yeah, I might have turned it too many times.
Aren't music boxes meant to turn off when you close them?
Well,
that's gonna give.
It's not a box though. That's what I mean. It's solid.
It's an actual. Oh, that's gonna be playing all night then, isn't it? Great. Well, we're gonna have a nice soundtrack to the rest of the podcast.
Can you still hear it then?
Oh yeah.
Oh good. Okay, great. Well, just continue.
Just continue as we hear this beautiful music for the rest of the podcast. DMCA. Yeah, the music box industry is going to be furious. I thought it was the device. I misread Bad Boy saying I thought it was the device humming. Saying I thought it was the devil humming. Wow. Just chuck it out the window. No, it'd be nice. Just as long as it's stopped going by the time I've moved in. That's all that matters. That'll be fine. But yeah, music box. So you had a good time then?
I literally can't stop it. You have to just leave it.
Put it in the bathroom. Is it still going?
It's still going. I can't stop. I must have turned it too many times.
Oh no. God, that's all you're going to hear for the rest of your life. So that Sonic sound. Were the instructions on the card?
Probably, but probably in Japanese.
Yeah. And that was the curse.
Genuinely.
All the instructions in Japanese. Okay.
Well, you don't need instructions for a music box. You just turn it and it just...
Apparently not.
Oh, I thought we finished.
No, that's... I've got nice...
It's still going.
Yeah. Suffocate it under a pillow.
That's literally what I'm about to do.
Okay, there it goes. Look at that, he's wearing trousers. Okay, well, so...
It stopped.
It stopped.
We're good.
So Ed has had a great time then at DGX. No.
Square Enix Plays.
SEP. SEP.
SEP. Yeah, no, it was a really fun day. Yeah, I had a lovely time. It's just nice to get out of the house and then play video games all day. But yes, it's been fun.
You needed a day out, didn't you?
I did. I've been very tired, which anyone who watched me play VALKYRIE on Tuesday on stream will probably recognize.
What games have you been playing? Let's go into it. Games we've been playing. Yeah. Ed, what have you been playing this week?
We're not doing that. I wasn't going to talk about VALKYRIE actually because I sort of blocked that from my memory. However, 2 weeks ago on the podcast, you gave me a challenge.
Oh, I did.
Which was to complete 3 games. Now I have done that challenge because I've completed 3 games. It's just that one of those is not the game that you wanted me to complete.
One of those I sat messing on my phone while you started and finished. Oh no, I was on my Switch actually. Wasn't I?
So the first one is Final Fantasy 12. Which I've finally finished.
Yeah, and how was it?
Having played for the last few weeks, which yeah, I really liked. I'm glad that it's over with because I got bored by the end. But it was a fun ending. I barely pressed anything and just let it do its thing. Was it my first run? No. I played this years ago on PS2.
But you hadn't finished it.
Play it again. No, I finished it then.
Did you?
Yeah.
You told me you hadn't finished it. Tell me that's where you're like, this is where I turned it off.
No. I finished it on PS2 and now I have finished it on PS5. So there we go. I just wanted to experience it again because it was so long ago. So anyway, so that's done. So that was good. The second one that I finished is Cult of the Lamb, which genuinely I think might be one of my favorite games this year. I really, really enjoyed it. I don't think overall it necessarily does anything new. I don't think it's the most original game. I think you can sort of see the parts in it and the inspiration. It is literally Hades meets Animal Crossing. And that's fine because those are great games and put them together and you still have a great game. So I don't think it's like the most original, but what it does really well. It's simple but effective. I really like the sort of dark humor, the macabre style to it. And the whole, it's not always balanced between the two sides, but I really like what it's doing. So yeah, I've really, really enjoyed playing Cult of the Lamb, and I would definitely recommend that everybody goes and plays that.
Yeah, I should go and finish it at some point. I say finish it, I'm only one boss down, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's not super long either. And it's the sort of thing where you keep playing it, you're always achieving something, whether it be something for your cult or whether you're doing a run and unlocking something or getting resources, like you're always achieving something. So that makes it good fun. The third game that you wanted me to complete, which I think I tried and I think I actually will just not bother with, is Tales of Arise.
But
now,
why don't you just whop it on easy and actually finish it?
Because I didn't think about changing the difficulty. I that did not even cross my mind.
Okay.
Okay, I might do that. Fine.
You're so close, and I can see Cat's little bottom lip quivering when he heard that you weren't gonna finish playing that.
I know. I am. So I played this back at like Christmas and then the start of the year, and haven't played it since maybe March-ish. And I'm literally at the end of the game. I am in the final dungeon halfway through, and I was like, okay, I need to just finish this. So I basically just ran past all of the enemies and didn't fight anything to get through this dungeon until I got to the final boss, which is of course not just the final boss. There's like multiple bosses, and there's just this annoying thing with this game in particular, in that there is a resource called CP, which is something points. I can't remember what it stands for.
Oh yeah, that's
so
in.
Long ago.
Is it character? No, it's CP's in quite a lot of those kind of games.
I don't remember what it stands for.
Combat
but basically,
points.
Yeah, maybe it's basically used for healing and reviving, and the game is not, or at least those spells, the game is not massively difficult because you can just button mash your way through all the combat, and then you rely on your teammates to heal you and to revive you. But the problem is that resource is really limited, and the main way of getting it back is to buy items.
Cure points.
Oh, there you go, cure points. So you use them for curing. And so you have these jellies that you, as an item, that gives you that back. And I don't have very many of those. And there aren't very many in this dungeon for me to get. And so I basically got to a point in this final boss where I'd done the first couple of waves, and then I just run out of all of these jellies, couldn't do anything, and just basically had no way of finishing this without just instantly dying. And the only way of getting more of these jellies is to like exit the dungeon, go and buy some and grind to get some coins, and then do it, and then do the dungeon again. And I cannot be fucked. So I was on the edge of just deleting it from my hard drive and watching the ending on YouTube.
Well, you know what you need to do. You need to stick on easy and just finish it.
Maybe I will.
Then you
consider
can
that this weekend.
So you decided, because you weren't going to finish that one, you thought you would cheat and pick a game that you can just pretty much finish in about an hour and a half.
No, I did not purposefully do that. So
here we go.
I had some exciting news this week, which is that I got an Xbox Series X.
Got is a very general term. You are looking after my Xbox Series X before I bring all my other stuff there. So one morning we were just chilling. I was like, oh, I should bring over. You were like, oh, why don't you bring over some stuff?
You suggested it.
Yeah, so I think you suggested like, I'll bring it. You said, oh, it's okay if you want to like, leave a few things before, as you are about to move in. And I said, yeah, I could. I mean, it's like, oh, why don't I bring over my Xbox Series X because I'm not using it here? And you went, yes. It was like the weirdest, like, yes, you must do that.
Well, yeah. So then you brought it over and we plugged it in, and now it's next to my TV in my lounge, which means that it is now officially mine. It's not yours anymore.
My favorite thing was we turned it on, and obviously there's Game Pass on there, Game Pass Ultimate. And Ed went through it and downloaded, and I am not joking, he must have picked about 25 games to download. And I was like, well, it's a 1 terabyte hard drive, and you've downloaded, well, I actually forced you to delete, you downloaded about 500 or 600 plus hour RPGs that you weren't ever going to play. So I was like, no, are you really going to play this? And you're like, maybe.
Yes.
So I had to force you to delete things. I was like, no, you're not going to be playing Final Fantasy VIII on this. No, you downloaded
an option.
You downloaded Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII, and Final Fantasy IX, didn't you?
No, I did not.
You
I've done
downloaded
that on my own PlayStation. Thank you very much.
You definitely downloaded some
Final Fantasy 13 too, which I've never got around to playing.
And you downloaded You downloaded another couple of Final Fantasy games.
No, I downloaded Dragon Quest.
Okay. The number of games you downloaded.
Do not get your JRPGs mixed up. Thank you very much.
You downloaded about 6 JRPGs.
Fine. And look, I filled it, but if they're not there, I'll forget about them and I won't play them.
Well, you can only play one at a time.
Well, whatever. Anyway, on my Xbox, I put my games, and I'm very much looking forward to playing through them.
Have you played it
However,
since? Although you did use it for an article, didn't you?
I did. I had to work out how to take a screenshot on an Xbox, which took me far too long.
And when he says had to work out how to take a screenshot on an Xbox, he stood in front of the TV with his phone and took a photo of that. That doesn't count, Ed.
No, thank you very much. I mean, look,
That
this
is
is news,
Ed, your pajamas are on Eurogamer from you trying
and
to take a
that's and
screenshot.
that's absolutely fine. Um, no, there's news that Deathloop is coming to Xbox Game Pass, and yesterday or the day before, it appeared on the Xbox dashboard as a little thing saying that you could pre-order it. So I was like, great, this is news. Um, the thing is, I worked out how to take a screenshot with an Xbox, but it won't let you on the dashboard. You can't take screenshots of that. You can only take screenshots of games. And that's why I was like, well, I need a picture of this for proof. So I got my phone out and I took a picture of my TV screen. That is very reflective and means that you can now see my pajamas.
Well, at least you're wearing pajamas. And as May
Exactly.
9 said, and as I said to you as well, why don't you just plug in your HDMI capture card and then do that?
Because I realized I could have done that, but that would have mean unplugging the Xbox, moving it in here, plugging it in, setting it up. No. News moves quickly. You've got to get it out there.
He's a
That was not
journalist.
worth it. That was not worth it for one picture.
He's
That
a journalist,
did
but
what it
only if it
needed to do.
requires little effort.
Exactly.
The amount of effort it took him to get out of the house today, honestly. They had to tempt him there with free Japanese stuff and Final Fantasy.
And it worked. Anyway, I did play through in its entirety a game on Game Pass on Xbox, which is called Donut County. It's this very silly but cute indie game. It's by Ben Esposito, who has since made Neon White, which is that first-person speedrunning card game thing on the Switch. And this is the game he did beforehand. It's very silly. It's basically a sort of game within a game where you're playing as a raccoon.
Also,
in
Edith
this-
Finch.
Oh, did he do that?
Yeah. He's
Well, there you
the Edith Finch design. He was a design consultant.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't.
Maybe.
Yeah, it wasn't. It created by was Neon White, Donut County, and Tattletale.
There you go. It is indeed Annapurna.
Hmm.
And yeah, you're playing as like a raccoon that's playing a game, and the game is to suck the world into a hole. And
The
hole
ultimate
gets...
bottom game, honestly.
Exactly. And the hole gets bigger the more you suck in. So you have these levels with all this sort of detritus and random stuff, and you have to start off with the small things that will fit in the hole, and then it gets bigger so that you can work your way up to suck everything in until you've basically sucked up the entire level. But then there are sort of puzzles involved as well. You get a catapult that you can throw stuff back up, and things like that. So there's sort of puzzle solving to it as well. But it's literally about an hour and a half, and it's very silly, but and very short and very quick, but really fun.
Yeah.
Genuinely funny. And all you have to do is just move a hole around and just suck things up. It's really fun. So I would. Judging by chat, it seems like a lot of people have played this and know about it. But if you haven't played it, honestly, it's on Game Pass. It will take you an hour and a half to play through in an afternoon or a morning, and it's really fun.
Yeah, I was watching you, but I think I was playing Splatoon maybe at the same time or something. And I intentionally did not look at the screen much because I'm like, I do want to play this at some point. And I feel like that's going to be a perfect game. You know, if I ever do a 12 or even a 24-hour stream again or whatever, that's like just a perfect game to play in its entirety for like an hour and a half.
Yeah, it would be a fun little stream game that people can watch and just chill out to for an hour and a half.
Exactly. And yep, the more things you put in your hole, the bigger it gets.
Exactly. So that was game number 3. So I have completed 3 games.
Brilliant.
I have also started Horizon, but we'll talk about that in a couple of weeks.
Nice. Maybe I should play a bit then as well, so we can both talk about it. I was listening to another podcast, another gaming podcast, not LGBT though, so it wasn't as good. And they're doing like a year in review so far, and I was like, that sounds like a cool idea. Talking maybe in a couple of weeks or something, or even in a week, we could talk about some of the biggest games that have come out so far because we're about to get a huge, all the big later in the year. Like we've got Sonic, we've got God of War coming out.
It's already halfway through September. I think we're a bit late for that.
But this is the time of year when some of the big heavy hitters come out. What have we got? God of War, Pokemon.
You've got loads left to come.
Exactly. So that is why we maybe could have a look at talking about some of the games that we don't want to forget about by the time we get to the end of the year.
Okay.
Elden Ring came out this year.
Indeed.
So did Horizon.
Indeed.
So did Hitman. Didn't Hitman 3 come out this year?
No, that was last year, I think.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yes. No, it was. Yeah. There was something that came out this year in January, and I couldn't believe it actually came out this year, right at the beginning of the year. What was it? Well, you can suggest.
Well, we'll talk about it another time then. Ben, what have you been playing the last week?
I have been playing. Oh, I can't remember. I'm annoyed I can't find that game, but yeah.
Come on, Ben. This is a podcast. You're meant to talk, not research.
Pokemon Legends.
Oh, Arceus. Yeah.
Yeah, Arceus. That came out this year. Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but this week, I've been playing an incredible game called Disney. And Disney Dreamlight Valley. There we go, yeah. Okay.
I thought you were just pausing for dramatic effect, but you had actually forgotten the name.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a very easy to remember name. But yeah, Disney Dreamlight Stardew Valley, and it is a really good game, actually. It's way better than I was expecting. So it's at the moment it's not free to play, but it's in kind of early access, but it's very polished for an early access game, and I don't know how much more. Well, I think they're just going to add new realms and new characters as the game progresses, but it comes out next year, free to play. But now if you've pre-ordered it, or if you're playing on Game Pass like me, you can have full access to what they've got. It is a kind of a third person, free camera, 3D version of pretty much, I mean, it's like Stardew Valley crossed with Animal Crossing. It's like Animal Crossing because you have your villagers, but you can specify which ones you have. You get given specific tasks by them, but like generally you start off, you've got a town, you've got to make the town nice and presentable, and then you go off to these different realms to help a Disney character from whatever realm they're in, usually a very small area that you help them in, and you bring them back, and then they go and live in your Dreamlight Valley. And the best thing about this is they give you loads of quests. So there's actually like a story progression with them.
Nice.
They have different levels. You have friendship levels with them, and as you level up your friendship, you're unlocking random things in there. And you've obviously got your own house that you can expand and decorate, just like in Animal Crossing. But it's just, I was playing it for 6+ hours, I think it was. And yeah, more than that, actually, maybe 6 or 7 or 8. But I just had so much to do. Like, I didn't run out of anything to do. And because it's early access and there is no free to play, like there's no microtransactions in there at the moment, which is why I thought it was a bit strange that some places have reviewed this before they've added the free to play stuff, which I thought was a bit strange because, it depends how heavy they go on the microtransactions and what they lock away behind.
It's a popular game. It's got Disney in it. It's SEO. People want the coverage.
That's true. I mean, first impressions or, early impressions might have been a better one than actually like scoring reviews. But yeah, they want the clicks. But yeah, it looks brilliant. I haven't encountered any bugs, but I've heard that there are some, including some game-breaking bugs, where you can't really continue with certain quests because they've asked you to do something or whatever, and that thing's not available, or it's hidden behind something. But it's huge. Like I've played 6 or 7 hours. I've just unlocked a new area. So you've got your main, like the central hub area, the town square with the there's a few houses there, including your own, and it's very like pretty meadow. And then there's these certain areas you can actually see on the map. There's like the frosty kind of wilderness in the snow. There's a beach area, which is the one I've just unlocked. There's a bit to the west, which I think it's the desert, like a desert area, and then there's some kind of, creepy looking, like volcanic area, I believe, if I remember rightly, to the northwest. So these are all kind of locked behind. Eventually you'll grind there and get there, but at the moment it's locked away. But yeah, there's just so much to do. I've just met Ursula from Little Mermaid. She's in a little cave. I've been, tasked with her to help her. It's just, yeah, all your Disney characters are there. You can chat with them, do tasks for them, grow friendships with them. And yeah, I've had an absolute blast playing it.
And Scrooge McDuck is playing Tom Nook, right?
Scrooge McDuck is 100% Tom Nook. That's right. Yeah.
Because you want that money.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really nice. Like some of the items in the shop, you're buying them, and then you can obviously put them in your own house. But there's some actually really nice looking items. It's not just boring kind of, here is a blue stool and here is a red stool. There's some very fancy things.
Well, they're themed around the different films, right?
Yes. So I've been to the WALL-E realm. That was the first one I went to. WALL-E.
Wally.
Wow. That's how he pronounced it.
Exactly. So that's his name.
Wow, WALL-E.
I think you should be respectful for his pronunciation, Ben.
Do you play football?
No, I play football.
Do you hang things up on the wall or on the wall?
If he wants to be known as Wally, I will say Wally.
He just can't pronounce his own name.
Benjamin.
Edward. Well, we go to the WALL-E area. He was the first one I went to. And then the second one I went to was the Ratatouille place. Because I was like, because you bring him...
Paris?
Yeah. No, the Ratatouille realm. It was just a kitchen. That's like the one... If there is a downside to it, like, well, yeah, the only criticism I'd have is like the realms that you go to are tiny. Which obviously, they can't have these great, big, huge open worlds in every single realm. But it is a very, very small area. To go into these worlds, into this movie's realm, it is very, very small, but it's 100% packed with what you'd expect from it. It's 100% on brand. So yeah, I went there, made some recipes with the Ratatouille mouse, Mr. Ratatouille. And yeah, invited him back. And through that, I unlocked, one of the missions was to unlock the restaurant that's on my, I want to say island, in my valley, my Dreamlight Valley. So I unlocked that. But also, yeah, every character has their own house that's very unique. So the Ratatouille one is this beautiful, giant French mansion. The WALL-E one is like as John said, people apparently don't like it because it's a very ugly kind of metal trailer. And the third one, I don't actually know what the third one is. It's somewhere in the sea. I don't think it's Little Mermaid. We will see what that one is. But the area where you go, so you go into the like the Disney castle, and inside there they've got all the different doors for different realms, and there are loads. I don't know how many they've got like that you can unlock here, because you have to get a certain number of points, a bit like Nook Miles, or the Nook Mile points you're getting Animal Crossing. You get them for pretty much doing the same thing. You can use those to unlock doors, but it does cost quite a lot, so you can't, you have to grind for a fair bit to get those. But there's quite a few I think you can unlock from the start, but there seems to be room for many, many more. And I'm intrigued to see what they do.
I need to give it a go. I used the character creator because they released that a couple of weeks ago. So you could basically play around with the character creator.
Oh, your characters are hot.
Well, sure. That's not what I was going for, but okay. My feeling from it is that it seemed like it was a very diverse character creator, and I don't want to speak for other people in any way. That's kind of the feeling that I got from it. It seemed like there are lots of different options, lots of great sort of lots of choices for skin color, lots of choices for hairstyles, body types. Nothing is gender locked. So I basically made myself a sort of bearded witch, which was interesting. And there's also an option for a hijab, which is amazing because there
Yeah.
actually aren't very many games where you can wear a hijab, and you can in this. So, but just from my white male perspective, it seemed to be quite diverse. But from what I've seen online, there are a lot of people saying that they're really pleased with their characters, that they've been able to create some really, as you say, hot and authentic representative in
Twinks.
a
You can
very
only
in
make
a
twinks,
very
unfortunately.
I mean, it's a very Disneyfied way of making people, but it does seem to be a nice, diverse mix, and people, from what I can tell, seem to be happy, which is also quite topical in the news after The Little Mermaid and everything else.
Mm.
So Disney is for everyone, and it feels like this game is following that.
I read that. Yeah, the only thing I heard. Sorry, I was looking at a video which I'll tell you in a second. So you might have already said this, but yeah, the body sizes apparently weren't like the biggest body size is not big.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, just before we do move on, I think you should check out the My Stream chat in Discord. There's a video there that you will find rather amazing.
Oh no.
No, not in that way. Don't worry. You don't trust me when I say this is going to be great.
Oh, it's a cat pouring at us.
Yeah, we're getting pawed by a cat. Gemma's looking after a tiny
Aw.
little kitten that is pawing at our
I'd like to
faces.
know the name of this cat, please.
Yeah. Is this the cat that you thought was a lady cat and is actually a boy cat?
Of course, it's the boy cat that likes us.
Of course, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
That
Money
is
says the
very
biggest
cute.
body size is not big at all. Yeah, mine is definitely a
Oh.
true representation of myself and my character.
You're not a twink, Ben.
How dare you? Ah,
But before we go on, we should talk about what other people have been playing.
we should. I'm trying to think if there's any other game I've been playing. I mean, there is. We've just both started Splatoon 3, but we'll talk about that probably more next week.
Yes, and
But-
we're going to play some of that tonight as well.
Yes.
So
We will be playing. And if anybody's got Splatoon 3, feel free to drop in on our games because we're just going to play a bunch of multiplayer.
indeed. So basically, last week we got everyone to answer what they've been playing. So we've still got loads from last week to go through. Lots of people playing this Balloons TD, which I still haven't looked into, which Gemma was playing. And Debs and Liz have both been playing lots of that.
I literally don't understand how people play that game and don't get really, really, really angry. It just drives me up the wall.
Debs has also finished up and 100%ed A Juggler's Tale, an indie game I got in a humble bundle, and also played the demo on Steam, which I played in one sitting on stream, and I went back this past week to finish the achievements. It's a story about a girl who escapes the circus, but then is still followed by the ringmaster and his bandits. Though most of the game, you are stuck on puppet strings, which adds for some interesting gameplay, because sometimes you can't just jump around an object because your strings are in the way. Interesting. The narrator in the game is great, and his voice just adds so much to the game. The game otherwise has pretty easy mechanics, as it's mainly jumping and then activating items by pushing, pulling, or throwing them. Interesting. Pete Randall's been playing Yoku's Island Express, which is a pinball Metroidvania, which I've been very interested in playing. I've heard good things about that. Cute little dung beetle rolls his ball around, and this is how you traverse the world. Pinball flippers are how you get places, but then also become mini levels where you enter what is essentially a mini pinball machine setup and have to gain tokens to proceed. It actually works really, really well. Need to give that a go. Also, Ravi Lavi's playing at Dreamlight Valley, of course.
Yeah.
I think lots of people are, to be honest. Mr. Wibble's been playing Tinykin. It's cute and wholesome. That is one of the games I downloaded on Game Pass.
Tinykin. He's also been playing Disney's Dreamlight Valley. Yeah, but these were a lot of these were from last week when we asked.
Yeah. Yuffie was playing Pokemon Unite. Binge with the quest to get Mew.
Oh, that was the ultimate thing when I was a kid playing Pokemon Red and Blue. Can you get Mew?
Yeah.
Let's get the Game Shark thing.
Amanda, I played 4 hours of Guild Wars 2 on Sunday. I made a green and gold tree person, and I've just been running around with my bow and leaf dog. It was fun. Yeah, that's another MMO. I've only got time for one, and even then, I barely had time for that.
Yeah. When did you last play it?
A couple of weeks ago.
Hmm.
Yeah, Mr. Whipple been playing Disney Dreamlight Valley. Seems to be an uncomplicated maintenance life sim game. Gameplay wise, it's the closest to Grow Song of the Evertree for me. It's pretty chill. I'm a bit wary of Game Loft, but that has to do with them being a mobile game dev with a pretty clear focus on milking their players through transactions. That is true, which is why I'm interested to see how it works with Disney. The pricing is so far is fine with Xbox Game Pass PC, but do wonder how their in-game moonstones will be used to obfuscate real-world cost. Gary says, still Horizon Zero Dawn, I'm slow.
It probably means the new one as well, but yeah.
Yeah. And John's also playing Disney Dreamlight Valley. So lots of people enjoying that.
And Mr. Millhill says he's literally only been playing WWE 2K22. And that is because Mr. Millhill has made some wrestlers. So for Friday Night Wrestling, I've been doing Friday Night Wrestling streams, and a week tomorrow will be the next. We don't have any plans, do we? No.
A week tomorrow?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay, yeah, a week tomorrow, Friday Night Wrestling will return, and we will have debuts of McGrath, Jinx, Devil Bean, Torn, Debs, Manatee, Huffle, Gemma, Liz, and one extra. But that will be a week tomorrow. Mr. Millhill so freaking kindly made these wrestlers, and you know you're in for a treat.
That also gives me more time to come over to yours and redo my wrestler.
You do. Okay, there's also, there are also some more as well, I believe. Yes, there are some more, I think. But yeah, so
Nice.
lots of ones and lots of people. There are still some I need that haven't been made yet, but I will get around to it. I'm going to make a document.
You better.
All right.
Well, we should quickly run through some of the headlines.
We should.
To finish up before we crack on with some Splatoon. And you mentioned Disney Dreamlight Valley, which is a farming sim, life sim game, of which there are tons coming out.
Oh, God, yeah.
Mainly from Nintendo Direct, which was on Tuesday. They announced in this alone, there were 5 farming sims.
Really, there were 5.
There were 5 farming sims, and if you're in Japan, there were 6. So
yes, I know that.
What they showed off was sorry, I'm scrolling through an article to find them, and they are far down. Rune Factory 3 Special.
See, I actually like the look of that. I thought that is what... I mean, that's what... Because Rune Factory 5, the latest one, went all 3D, and I did not enjoy it whatsoever. But looking at 3, like having a remastered version of that old graphics and the old... Like, the way it was, to me, is way more appealing than Rune Factory 5.
Yeah, it looks cute.
Yeah.
They've also said that there is a new Rune Factory game in development. So that's 2. Harvestella has a Switch demo. That's 3. They are re-releasing the GameCube Harvest Moon game, but it's now called Story of Seasons: A Wonderful Life. So that's 4. And then another one called Fae Farm, which is a new indie one, is 5.
I mean, no.
And then they announced a load of new N64 games coming to Switch Online. And in Japan, there is an extra one that we're not getting, which is Harvest Moon 64. So that is 6 farming games in one Nintendo Direct. So if you're into farming games, get yourself a Switch because they're everywhere. Also, Switch Online, the big news, various games coming out, including the Mario Party games, the Pokemon Stadium games, although you can't actually use any sort of transfer with Pokemon Stadium. And the whole point of those games is that you have your Game Boy Pokemon that you catch, and you transfer them to the N64 to battle. And you now can't do that in this version. So I'm like, what is the point? I don't want to use standard Pokemon. That's boring. But also coming is GoldenEye, which is the big news. And it's interesting because there's also a GoldenEye coming to Xbox. Now, the reason this has taken so long is because GoldenEye was made by Rare, Rare was bought by Microsoft, so they sort of don't want to release anything on the Switch because it's Nintendo. But they've obviously come to some sort of agreement. And so what we now have is the N64 original game coming to the Switch, but they have added in online multiplayer. And that's because other games have also had online multiplayer. So, like F-Zero X has online multiplayer and never did before. So they've added it there. But there's another version that's coming to the Xbox that Rare have done that has basically remastered the game a little bit. So it's now got 4K graphics, excuse me, and it's got achievements. But what it doesn't have is online multiplayer, which you would kind of expect it to have, and it doesn't. It only has split screen. So basically, if you want to play GoldenEye, you've got two options. You can either play it with shit fuzzy N64 graphics, but online multiplayer, or you can play it in slightly spruced up graphics, but without online multiplayer.
Also, we played a bit of GoldenEye about a few weeks ago at
a few months ago.
A few months ago, the London Science Museum, and somebody, as Mr. Mailhole says in the chat, nostalgia is a hell of a drug. And somebody else, I'm just looking on the Nintendo Life article, saying this game has not aged well. They are both completely right, because that game controls like trash. I hated playing it. And somebody's replied to this person saying the game has not aged well, saying, no, this game has never been matched. Still as fun as it was those years ago. If you're, so then I know that they're bad because they can't spell that, playing it on a Nintendo 64 controller, it's aged fine. Finally. If you're not, you're doing life wrong anyway. And that's got the most likes, because apparently those people read Nintendo Life. But it's like, no, I played it on a Nintendo 64 controller with you, and it's terrible. Like, the dual stick, there's no dual stick looking. It's awful.
Because in those days, they only had one stick. I mean, remember the N64 controller was the first one to have a control stick. So that was revolutionary, just having one. But they had to find a way of making it work. And I think at the time, that worked perfectly fine for me. I had no problem with it at all as a kid. But now we've got used to dual sticks and using that to control. Going back to the old control method is fucking weird.
Yeah, Maynard says, don't forget they'll be updated for dual analog now, though. Will they?
Will they?
If that's true, then great. I might even play a bit.
Yeah. If it does have it in, then that's fine. I'll also say that Perfect Dark was better than GoldenEye. Sorry.
Well, we like to swap our joysticks and use them. Use both.
Yes.
It's much more manageable to use and much more enjoyable to use two joysticks rather than one.
Indeed. Also at the Direct, there is a brand new Fire Emblem game called Fire Emblem Engage.
And what is it?
I think it looks a bit shit, if I'm honest. And I really, 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 really enjoyed Three Houses. And this, I think, has been in development for a while because it all sort of leaked over the summer. And it was leaked as being a sort of anniversary game. Which anniversary, I'm not entirely sure. But that's why you can wear different accessories in this to summon Fire Emblem characters from previous games. So it's kind of a bit of a celebration of the series. It just, to me, looks a bit cheap. It doesn't look like it's got the depth of gameplay, story, visuals that Three Houses had. It's kind of just a bit meh. And that feels a bit disappointing to me.
Yeah, it's... No, I agree. Like, I don't understand. It is a mainline game as well. It's like, it's the next mainline game after Three Houses, but it kind
feels
of
like a step back.
They announced it at the beginning of the Direct, so it wasn't like if they'd put this as a big reveal at the end, which obviously we'll find out in a second what they did put as that. But if they'd, stuck this at the end of a Direct and like just one more thing, maybe it would have had a bit more fanfare. But they were just like, yeah, this game's coming out. And you're like, wait, you know how popular and how obsessive like Fire Emblem fans are, and you're just kind of throwing this out, and I don't know. It seemed like a quick.
They literally just put the trailer up, which had a smattering of story and a little bit of gameplay, and then we're like, cool, there that is, and moved on. And I know that it did leak in the summer, so people kind of were expecting it, but it just felt a bit like, oh, there that is, move on. Like it's not getting a lot of love.
No, what did you think of the hair?
Well, yeah, it's got this main character that can be male or female and has red and blue hair, which basically loads of memes came up about. Does it look like a Pepsi can? Does it look like toothpaste? people are taking
Yeah.
the piss.
Huh. And it's coming out. It's only coming out in like January. It's quite
Yeah.
soon.
That's the thing. I think this has been in development for a little while, which makes me think, was it a bit quick after Three Houses? I don't know.
Mm.
We'll have to wait and see more on that. Pikmin 4 is coming, which I think has also been in development for a very long time. So we're all expecting it. They didn't show very much, but what they did show is a new perspective. So you're literally down camera-wise at a level of the Pikmin rather than being top down. I'm sure that'll be very pretty. I didn't play Pikmin 3, but I really like 2.
I never played a Pikmin game.
I think you should.
No.
There was a load of other stuff that was sort of little bits and pieces, but the big news, the big one more thing at the end, was a new trailer for Breath of the Wild 2, and we now have a name, which is Tears of the Kingdom.
Mm-mm. Very nice homage to Elizabeth.
Yes, I'm sure she appreciated that from her coffin. I'm sure she appreciated the delay as well.
Yeah. It's not live as well.
So yeah, we got a little look at it. It starts off with some carvings and runes and things at the start, which I think is outlining a lot of the story.
So Ed's watched how many videos analyzing that trailer have you watched so far?
Quite a few.
So here he is, all his research. He's now going to explain to us what that trailer said about the game.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Tears of the Kingdom, that's right, yeah.
Well, that's the one thing. People are like, is it tears or is it tears?
Tears.
And I looked up the name in Japanese and Google translated it, which is, of course, a really authentic way of, translating. But the way that it's written out in Japanese is very, very specifically tears. So I think it is Tears of the Kingdom. However, they've probably chosen that knowing that it has a double meaning in English. And what they've shown in the trailer is literally the world being torn apart. Maybe there's some sort of tragedy that's tearing the world apart. The stuff has been torn out of the ground and put into the sky as islands.
Maybe it'll be...
So it kind of mixes a bit of both, I think.
Maybe you have to go to another world. There'll be a link to another world.
No, because that's been done.
But you're a link keeping that from tearing apart.
Sure. There are still lots of theories. I think the biggest one, which has come up from the previous trailers as well, is who is this other Link? Because there is a Link in a slightly more primitive outfit with long hair and an axe. And it's kind of like, well, who is that? Is that the same Link? Is that you traveling through time? Is that a flashback? Is it a memory? We still don't really know. These carvings are the main sort of point of reference really at the moment. And there is this figure with very long ears. And there are 7 what look like tears shapes around this character. This character is also shown holding hands with a female character that looks suspiciously like Zelda. So I think the most popular theory is that this figure is the goddess Hylia, which if you've played Skyward Sword, you will know that Zelda is the descendant of Hylia. And that's there are a lot of Skyward Sword references in this game and in this trailer, the stuff that we've seen already. So I think that's going to be important. So I think Hylia might have a stronger role. So potentially that. Also, whenever there are 7 of anything in a Zelda game, it usually means 7 dungeons. There are 7 sages, there are 7 dungeons in Ocarina of Time, there are 7 maidens in Link to the Past. So my hunch is that there are going to be 7 dungeons, and I really hope this is true because I really want them to bring back proper dungeons. And I think that you will then collect the tears from those dungeons. And maybe those tears are used to reforge the Master Sword. Because in the logo, you can see that the Master Sword is sort of 2 halves, and there's the second half that's sort of all green and black, and I think mixes in with all the magic-y stuff. And I think, maybe that has to be remade. So yeah, that's kind of the main theory going around.
I'm looking forward to playing it.
It's really made me want to replay Breath of the Wild again, and I am on the edge of literally starting that next week on stream and just doing that for the rest of the year because I really, really want to play it again.
Well, it's okay because there aren't any new games that you haven't finished yet.
Oh, there's plenty. Also, in the chat, people are talking about Bayonetta. Yes, I forgot Bayonetta. Bayonetta 3 has a release date. We already knew the release date already, which is in, oh God, I think it's end of October. But there was like an 8-minute gameplay trailer that they didn't show in the direct, but they released afterwards. And it shows a lot more of Bayonetta's new moves. It also shows Viola's moves, which is the second character, and how she works, which is cool. So there's probably quite a lot of spoilery bits in it if you're trying to avoid it, but it's quite a cool video for 8 minutes.
Are you going to be getting Bayonetta?
Absolutely. Absolutely. What were your thoughts on the direct overall? What would you rate it?
Oh, the direct, I would say good, solid 8 out of 10. I enjoyed. There were a lot of moments in there that I was like, wow. Even like the Nintendo 64 announcements were great. There's like old school Mario parties that I'm probably never going to play, but you know, it's cool having them there. Pokemon Colosseum was a big one as well. I never got to play that as a kid because I always had a PlayStation rather than a Nintendo 64. So yeah, seeing people being able to play Pokemon in like full 3D when I just only had a Game Boy.
Amazing.
Yeah, I was so jealous of people that were able to do that. So I will definitely give that a go, you know, for like half an hour and be like, oh, this is what I was missing. Oh, okay, well, things are better now. But yeah, exactly. I don't know how much of that game was great, but yeah, no, and I loved a lot of the announcements. Even the smaller games looked pretty interesting, and obviously Breath of the Wild 2 or Tears of Elizabeth was a really good thing to finish the show with. Although we didn't get any of the ones that we wanted.
Well, yes, we didn't get Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, which is the thing that, I mean, it got leaked that it's happening and then it didn't. So maybe that particular leaker, who I won't name, we probably shouldn't really listen to, which is annoying. I think we all really want those games to come out. I would still love for them to come out and just for them to just drop them at some point. I just don't know if they will anymore. I will add that December marks the 20th anniversary of Wind Waker.
I mean,
so
also,
there's still hope.
Also, I mean, I've got a Wii U under the bed. I mean, I could bring that next time if you want. Couple that up.
Yes, please. That'd be great. Thanks. And then it becomes my Wii U. I'd be very happy.
You've always wanted a Wii U, haven't you?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I will get that Wii U game slab fixed because I think it just needs a replacement battery. It actually does work, but it works for like an hour, and then you have to charge it for like 24 hours to get another hour out of it. So I think it's just the battery that needs replacing, which you can get for £10 on Amazon. So I'll do that, and hopefully we can play it. Or I'll just end up buying a Pro controller. Because it's weird, like of all the games on the Wii U, you could use Wii controllers, like the Wii joystick and nunchuck. You could use those on pretty much any Wii U game. But for Wind Waker HD, you had to use a Pro controller or the slab. Which was annoying. Because Wii U Pro controllers were like, I think they're a little bit easier to get now, but I remember a couple of years ago, like you could not get one for under £60. So, yeah.
Well, we also didn't get any Metroid news, which is sad, but I think we will get that after Zelda is out, because I think Metroid Prime 4 is going to be the next big / maybe even swan song for the Switch. So I think once Tears of Elizabeth, as you lovingly called it, is out, I think once that's done, the next one is going to be Metroid Prime 4, and then that's going to take us into the sort of end of the Switch, I think.
What do you think the next console is going to be from Nintendo?
The Super Switch.
Yeah, I would love it if they called it the Super Switch. That would make sense though, because it got obviously NES, Super NES.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever called it the Super NES?
No, SNES.
Yeah. From now on, I'll call it the Super NES. Yeah.
Well, it was the Super Famicom in Japan.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's family computer.
Is the Genesis here?
No. Don't you start with that. So that was the Nintendo Direct, but then later on in the evening, Sony then had a state of play.
Yeah, the SS Switch. Let's not call it the SS Switch.
The Switch.
we do not want any video game console with SS in it.
Yeah. So yeah, we then had the PlayStation State of Play, which was not great, especially in comparison. But there were a few nice things. They started it up with the next Tekken game, which actually looked stunning, and then they were like, "Yep, this is full gameplay."
And yeah, I mean, very wet, muscular men. That is
So
one way
one
to.
for-
That is one to
One for
set.
you.
Well, yeah. I don't care about muscles, obviously, but it was. It was just Tekken.
Nice.
One of my first ever games I played was Tekken.
They then showed off a couple of PSVR 2 games. I thought there was going to be more than they showed, but there's a Star Wars Tales from Galaxy's Edge game, which could be quite fun, and one called Demio, which is like an RPG style dungeon crawler. Meh. They then showed Like a Dragon Ishin. Now, I didn't really understand this, but Liv, our intern at Eurogamer, is a big Yakuza fan and explained all this to me. So basically, Like a Dragon Ishin was a PS3 game, and it's basically Yakuza, but samurai.
You pronounce Yakuza very strangely.
Because I think it's Yakuza. I think it is actually how it's pronounced. Not Yakuza.
Yakuza!
I think it's Yakuza. I think. I mean, I could be butchering that entirely.
You're one of those people that goes into a bakery and asks for a croissant, aren't you?
Mais oui. So it was a PS3 game, but it was like a spin-off, and it's basically the same characters, but back in sort of samurai days. And it was a PS3 game, but back in that time, when that game originally released, the Yakuza series was super popular in Japan, but not so much in the West, because it was before the remakes came out and stuff, and all the others. So it was basically a Japanese-only release. And now that the series is really popular, they're now completely remaking it from the ground up as this new game.
And it's
Like a Dragon Ishin.
Is this the one that? Is this the new one? Is this the only one that was announced for Yakuza?
No. So
Okay.
they've then released or have announced Yakuza 8, but it's actually Like a Dragon 8, and it's a continuation of the turn-based JRPG style of Like a Dragon, which was Yakuza 7, and some other Yakuza games as well. So anyway, there was then this like really terrible looking like magic game in a school, which looked a bit shit, to be honest. I wouldn't bother buying that. Then another one called Pacific Drive, which is this horror driving game.
But the Yakuza series, but just to go back, they interviewed the guy and they're like, why did you change to the turn-based one? Which I mean, I didn't enjoy. I prefer the original. But he's like, oh well, it was just the best way to tell this story. And people are saying that it is a lot better because you can give the fact that you've got like 4 people in your party who are all fighting at the same time and you're controlling all of them. You're able to tell stories with the same level of detail and the same, matter of importance for all the characters. Whereas if you're just playing a beat 'em up, you're only controlling one character, and the others who are fighting alongside you, they can't have their stories while you're battling. And apparently, that was the excuse. But also, they said, in the future games, if we decide, if the future games, if the best way to tell the story is a totally different genre, we're going to do that. So Yakuza driving game or survival horror, I am looking forward to.
Great, let's do it. Sony are releasing PlayStation Stars. It's this weird loyalty program where you collect digital collectibles. They are not NFTs.
Not NFTs.
They are just like, it's kind of like just little trophies, basically. Some sci-fi third-person mech shooter called Sinduality, which is one of the worst names I've ever heard in my life. And then there was a game that was announced a couple of years ago called Project Eve that now has a different name, which is Stellar Blade, which also is a terrible name. And it's a sexy anime girl battling things with a sword. Cool. Then another game from Team Ninja. So Team Ninja made the
Tim
games.
Ninja, I know him.
Tim Ninja.
Used to go to work with him.
They made the Ninja Gaiden games. They made Neo, which was that sort of Dark Souls-y samurai game. They
Great.
have one coming out next year called Wolong Fallen Dynasty, which is basically there's someone from Bloodborne who's working on it. It's basically Bloodborne in ancient China. So that sounds awesome. And then they have another game coming out, which they announced, which is a PS5 console exclusive called Rise of the Ronin. And it's very similar, but it's an action RPG. It's in an open world. It's set in, I think it's 19th century Japan. So it's slightly more, I guess, modern than some of the others. But you're playing a samurai in a slightly more modern world. I think there's a sort of tension between East and West, and the West kind of coming to semi-invade Japan, and sort of old and new, modern and ancient Japan all colliding in this particular period. And it looks like it's going to be sort of Bloodborne meets Assassin's Creed meets Ghost of Tsushima, which I think actually looks quite good, but
I wasn't sure about.
Not very original.
Yeah, it didn't stand out to me, but hopefully the gameplay will.
Yeah. And then they finished up with another trailer for God of War Ragnarok, which is more God of War. And I would like to play the previous one again to remind myself of what happened, because it was a long time ago now. And I think it looks pretty, but it's more God of War. So if you're into that, then great. I'm looking forward to giving it a go.
It was a very good trailer for God of War. Like all the different kind of between worlds. Like he's always fighting his way out of death. And he was doing that in the trailer. Looks really, really good.
Yeah, I'm excited to play it.
Me too.
You could also play it on a really shit-looking God of War controller with some wolves on it.
When
I do not wish to buy.
I thought they were closing the state of play on that controller reveal, and I was like,
everyone did.
No, no. I didn't enjoy the state of play. For some people, I'm sure it was great, but I did not. I was at the end of that, I'm like, well, there's some games that might be fun in the future, like that Ronin game, but I wasn't. I was like, are we going to get the Bloodborne remake? Are we going to get all this? No Metal Gear Solid, no Bloodborne,
Well,
no Jak and Daxter.
It was also like 11 p.m. and it was late and I was tired anyway, so I wasn't really as interested as I would have been. I mean, I do feel like Tekken was a good way of starting. God of War was a good but obvious way of ending. There was some newish games announced in there that we didn't know coming. The Rise of the Ronin, like I say, not very original, but I think it does look nice. It looks like it could play well as well. And I think the Like a Dragon Ishin thing could actually be really cool. I've since watched different trailers that came out, which look great. But compared to Nintendo, it wasn't amazing. And considering you expect a State of Play to announce some cool stuff, and I was expecting more of PSVR 2, because that is playable at TGS this week, playing Resident Evil Village in VR. So I expected them to have a bit of a blowout of, hey, we're announcing this. People were discussing Silent Hill. People desperately want Bloodborne. None of that was there. It was a bit meh. So it was more of a sort of 5 out of 10, I'd say.
I wonder if some of the games now that are in production, they're going to be like, let's wait till the Game Awards.
That's the thing. Basically, Sony have God of War, and that's about it. But that's massive and is going to sell incredibly well. So they're basically building up to that, and then maybe at the Game Awards they'll do something, and then they'll be pushing Forspoken, because that's a big PS5 game out in January, and from then onwards, who knows what Sony are doing? We actually don't really know at this point what they're working on. So
Tekken 8 was a big one to start on. I wouldn't have been surprised if they'd finished on Tekken 8, because that is big to a lot of like fighting game fans. I mean, Tekken is a huge franchise, but also we've got Tekken 8 coming out, but also there's the new Street Fighter out kind of at the same time. So that's going to be weird having those two fighting each other, because literally, well, not literally, but pardon the pun.
Fighting game fans will be very happy, I'm sure.
Are you more of a Street Fighter or Tekken?
Neither. I'm not a massive fighting game fan. I feel like fighting games tend to just be nice to show off consoles, but meh. Like Soul Calibur, I loved.
Yeah.
The first and then the second I had on the GameCube. Soul Calibur I love, but that's because I like using the different weapons as opposed to punch, kick, which I just find a bit meh.
King of Fighters, says Chocobro. Never played that. I've never been a fighting game fan, and it's just because I've never been good at them. I've always been absolutely awful. And I feel like if I'd grown up, which is weird saying like I wish I'd grown up because literally one of the first games I ever played was Tekken. But I used to get my older brother to come over and beat the characters so that I could unlock them because I was just trash. I was no idea. But I imagine if you started off and you played and you really practiced when you were younger, you're just going to be, a pro now, blitzing through it. Yeah.
Indeed.
I can't even play. I'm not even good at Smash Brothers.
See, Smash Brothers I like, but that's just the Nintendo nerd in me.
No, I'm terrible at that. All right. Well, is there anything else?
I think that is plenty of news. There's other bits and pieces floating around, but just go read Eurogamer. It's all on there.
Go play video games and occasionally watch Eurogamer or read Eurogamer.
Indeed.
Yeah. So check out us on YouTube, youtube.com/swappingjoysticks. We'll put a video up of Ed and I drinking some sake and eating some Japanese sweets that he's got there this weekend at some point. We'll just record it on the phone and stuff. It'll be very professional.
Of course.
So we'll be on there. Go and check out earlier on in the in this podcast if you want to see what we will be eating. But Ed, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitch and on Twitter at ed_knights.
Excellent. And do you have any games you're going to be playing lately or coming up?
Well, I don't want to spoil next week's podcast, do I?
I mean, like on stream.
Oh. Well, I have a day off next Tuesday, actually. So I am probably going to do an afternoon stream just to mix things up and go for a bit longer. I haven't decided what I'm going to play, but I am very tempted to play the start of Mario and Rabbids.
Which I need to give you because I do have it.
Yes.
I noticed.
Please bring that over.
Oh, well. Yeah, okay. And you can find me at twitch.tv on /biggestbenes, or I am biggestbenes1 on Twitter. But yeah, you can listen to the podcast, find all the old ones and new ones at YouTube, but just go to swappingjoysticks.com and you'll find all the links to everything on there. And there's no
Indeed.
Formula Joysticks for a couple of weeks. Check out the last one if you want a good old laugh.
I'm sorry. Is all I'll say.
You didn't, well, you let us down. So, Ed, say the thing.
Thanks all for listening. See you next week. Keep swapping.
Bye.